I've had clients sign 7-figure contracts right in front of me while wearing a backwards hat.
That's badass.
I wanted to make something that was real, and I feel like there's so many people out there that talk about business and how to best succeed, but they've never actually done it themselves. Mm-hmm. It's like an evolving book that I'm writing on how to create a motion design business. And every so often I'm like, oh, I'm missing a page from this book and I need to put it in there. And it's exciting whenever you realize that you're like, oh, there's the page I was missing. Like, I didn't think I was missing a page, but turns out I am. AI can help anyone become average, but it doesn't really help experts, like, big time get better. You know what I mean? Like, it's helping those people get to average very quickly. Mm-hmm. But is average going to be enough when everybody does it? Using AI is very much like curating, where using the software is like creating. And people are getting those confused right now. We try to put story to everything that we're doing, because ultimately I feel like that's the thing that people care about. And businesses generally want to make things that people care about, right?
Mm-hmm. The website is live. Now is when the real work starts. While it's never been easier to build a website, the same is also true that it's never been harder to make a website actually work hard for you. Digital ink is never dry. The moment your website launches is the best opportunity that you have to make it effective and drive marketing qualified leads month after month after month. Most marketers are acting blind. They just don't know who's going to their website. They don't have visibility to see what pages, what specific actions, and how long they're spending on each page. All of these are high intent signals of your warmest prospects. Having a good website is the foundation for all of this opportunity. And if you're not investing marketing efforts into it month after month, your most profitable asset is being lazy. If spending time in the weeds, looking through data, and connecting these insights to the rest of your marketing is not your jam, if your website is being lazy, let's have a conversation. Fresh off the book launch, what were some, first of all, one of the things that you said in our first conversation, because I did listen through that this morning, through all the cringe.
For me or for you?
No, for me, no. Luckily, you spent most of the time talking, which was good. But you actually said in that interview that you feel like you're like your life was a book, and that you're like filling in missing pages as you go. Like, you actually said that. And in the edit, I'll cut to that because it's pretty cool. But now you actually wrote a book.
Yeah.
So what were some of the lessons you learned coming off that?
Off of writing the book?
Yeah.
It's weird because, like, it's something that I wanted to do for such a long time. And something that, like, I never felt like I didn't want to do it because it was like a career move or anything like that. It was just like, this is just a personal, like, checkbox that I just need to check.
Yeah.
And I remember it was probably 2012, maybe. I was working in Hollywood at a studio, and everyone's like kind of sitting around talking about like, oh man, like wish we could work on this kind of stuff. And they're like, Matt, what do you want to do? I'm like, I want to write a book at some point. Mm-hmm. And literally everyone started laughing in the room. Like, I was serious, but I was like, that's fine, right? But ever since then, I'm like, you know what? I want to write something a little bit longer, right? And it not just like, here's an instructional guide on how to do this thing, but I wanted to be able to tell my story a little bit. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's so many books that I've read over the years that I was like, just found a lot of inspiration from. Shoe Dog with Phil Knight being probably the best. I feel like it's one of the best business books ever written. Mm-hmm. And there's no like chapter 7, here's the lesson to learn. It's just a biography, right? And you're learning through the actual story. So for me, I wanted to write a book in that way. And I mean, truthfully, like even after that, I'm like, I don't have enough to say to write a book. Mm-hmm. And I'm not a particularly great writer. Mm-hmm. I just never really felt like that, you know? Mm-hmm. Like in high school and college, I mean, I was the bare minimum to get a B, maybe C. That was me, right? Me too. And it came to a point last year where I ran a workshop that I occasionally run called Creative Business School. And I was like, you know what? Let me record these and see what I say. Like, I have no idea. I'm like, maybe I'll just sell the recordings or something. I don't really know. I'm like, let's just record them and see what happens. And we did 8 classes, and I probably talked for close to 2 hours in every single one of those. And I was like, man, like that's everything. That's everything that I know. Like there's nothing left for me to like say. And I look at the transcripts and there was between 15 and 20,000 words that I said in each one of these sessions that we had. And I was like, man, if I just put this all together, that would be a pretty gigantic book right there. And I was like, there's a lot of stuff to be able to like cut out and edit and trim and organize. So over last summer, I started doing that. And then I was like, hey, you know, I might have something here. Like people ask me a lot of questions when it comes to starting and running a business. And I've never had anything to really like hand them and be like, here, read this or watch this. It's always been like just individual like advice and an occasional coaching call that I would do. So I was like, you know what, let's just kind of go for it. And I put it all together, got it edited once just to see. I'm like, is this even like something? And the editor was like, I think it is. I'm like, cool. If that's the case, let's like actually like put some illustration time into this and like really think through some of the visuals and everything. Cause that's who I am, right? Like I'm a creative that is very visual. Again, words are not my medium. So, for me, it was going through and doing all that. And again, like once I got everything together, I was like, this could be a thing. And I thought about, I guess before we were talking a little bit about just like rejection and all this stuff. And I was like, you know what, I'm just going to start sending it off to different publishing companies and see what happens. And none of like the real publishing companies said anything, but there was a couple like, I don't know if you want to call them shady, but like a couple that they're like, yeah, you pay us. And I'm like, that doesn't seem right. Just so I could try to understand like all these different things. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to self-publish this. A few years ago we did, my team and I, we did a children's book called Creative Little Monsters.
Yeah, I remember that.
So, and that was self-published. So I was like,
I think we talked about it in our last chat. Yeah.
It's possible.
Yeah.
So it's just one of these things where I'm like, you know what, I don't need to be in all the bookstores or anything like that. Like I have an idea and I want it to exist and I'll find the quickest path to make it exist. And I mean, it's kind of like what I do talk about in the book, right? It's, again, it's a very, the first like introduction of the book is really just a candid, kind of, the story of the first 10 years. Like here is what happened in those 10 years, like year by year. I even give some charts and graphs showing like, hey, yeah, I was making decent money when I was full time and then it dropped immediately. I wanted to make something that was real. And I feel like there's so many people out there that talk about business and how to best succeed, but they've never actually done it themselves. So I was like, this is just something that was always really, really important to me. So I don't know. That's kind of the story of the book.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. That book would have been incredibly helpful to me when I interviewed you last time. Cause I was working in house and you're someone that I had watched online for a while. I listened to all of your content that you had. You guys had a podcast at the time. I listened to your interviews with Jeremy Schlegel. You did an interview with Jay Klaus, Lacey, all people that I've had on the show since then. And just the idea of building in Columbus and seeing people that had done it like ahead of me. The thing that you said then, that was because it was before I went full time, was having to learn to still love the creative part of your job when your job becomes a lot less of that. Like I've read all the books on like some of the most famous founders like Bill Gates, Elon Musk, people who say to just be obsessed with the craft and that'll take you all the way through. And what's missed in those books is that the transition between what a creative becomes when you're no longer doing that thing day to day. Like you can no longer just be obsessed with the creative part of the job because now you're just managing people who are creatives. But what is really cool is that you get to be the person who, when you first started, you mentioned your goal was to just make money creatively. And now you get to be the person that hires other people and make that dream come true for them. So it's sweet to see that that's manifested itself into a book. And I mean, you started a conference. I mean, you're checking a lot of the founder milestones, I guess you could say. So tell me a little about the conference. I know you guys started that. I think you started that pre-COVID, and then you kind of went through a hiatus, and now the last several years got some really good sponsors. Looks like the website's killer. Love it.
Oh, thanks.
But what are some of the lessons you learned from putting on a conference in Columbus?
So a big part of that, I guess, kind of looping in some of the Columbus portion of my story was when I was working in Hollywood, it was like, all right, my wife and I had our first, and we're like, all right, we need to go somewhere else. This wasn't a place that we wanted to raise a kid.
Yeah.
And looking at cities all across the country, it's really interesting when you're really just that open to going literally anywhere. And I started looking at Columbus because I started seeing a couple studios around here. And I'm like, maybe they're making it work. I mean, whenever so I'm from Cleveland, and when I left, I told my mom, like, never coming back. Like, there's nothing here for me. And I assumed that was true, like, forever. And whenever I started seeing stuff happening here, I was like, you know what? I think this would be a good place to have a family. I think this would be a good place to really start my business, to like give it a shot anyway. And I don't know, just a little bit closer to home, I guess. So when I first got here, one of the first things that I wanted to do was be a part of the community. It was a big lesson that I learned when I was in Los Angeles was like the community there was just so amazing and powerful.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, wherever I go, like that's the first thing I do is like find my place in the community. And within a month or so, I'm starting to go to events, trying to find all these things. Truly nothing felt like what I wanted to exist. The first event, everybody was wearing like suits and stuff and ties, and I'm like, that's not you. Yeah, exactly. Like this is me. This is as dressed up as I get. And I don't know. I mean, with it like probably halfway through, I was like looking around, I'm like, oh, okay, these people are all dressed up and they're all just hanging out in their own little cliques, like the companies that they work at. Like nobody's really like doing anything.
Yeah.
So while I was like considering that, the first contract that I got, a bunch of the people that worked there all decided to go out for dinner one night. And I was like, oh, that's kind of fun. So there's probably like 10 of us. And somebody asked something about like, oh, you know, like what do you guys do for like contracts and stuff if you're going to be freelance? And we're all like, I have no idea. Like none of us know anything about like business. And I had the immediate thought, I'm like, wow, what if we like paid like somebody in the financial or accounting world to be here and have dinner with us? And then we could all just kind of ask a bunch of questions. Like, how cool would that be? So the first event that I did was at Seventh Son. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, we're going to get like 50, like maybe 100 people showing up to this thing. We had about 8 people show up. And I was like, okay. Not exactly.
Dude, it's hard. Like I have my own stories, but yeah. Continue,
But from that, I was like, okay, like that was cool, but that's just a couple of friends getting together. Like how do I need to get a bunch of people together? And I just decided at that point, this was 2014. I decided I'm like, all right, every 3 months I'm going to run an event. And my goal is to try to grow it to 100 people. And I'm just going to keep doing it. If nobody shows up, whatever, I'm just going to keep doing it. And like, just try to learn whatever I could along the way. So the next event, well, after the first event, somebody made a suggestion of like, hey, we kind of like need something to do. Like, it's cool that we're all like here, but like there needs to be like a focus. And I was like, that's genius. I'm going to have somebody present next time. And I asked 4 different people if they would be interested in presenting, expecting maybe one of them to say yes. And they all 4 said yes. I'm like, well, I guess that's the format then, because I'm not going to tell them, never mind, and just ask them. So, so it started every quarter. We started growing. I think the next event we had maybe 25 people. Then we had 60 at the next one. And then we did that for about 2 years. And then I was like, all right, this is a lot of work planning this every 3 months. I'm like, what if we just did like an annual, just conference style? So that first one was in 2017. And we ended up getting maybe 150 people showing up to that. And I was like, this is it. Like, this is the community that I wanted to build.
Mm-hmm.
Like, these 150 people here believe in the same thing that I believe, in which we are creative people, but we also know that we need the people around us to help support us and to push us. And I think that was kind of the thing that was always missing. Like, the communities exist, but it was tough to find one that was like really pushing people to be better than what they were, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, I was like, all right, let's keep that going. And we did it 2017, 2018, 2019 was our biggest one. And I was like, all right, we have a ton of momentum right now. Like, 2020 is going to be the year. And
it was the year, all right.
It was the year.
Yeah.
Obviously, within a month of the year starting, we kind of recognized that, hey, something's going on. I don't know if this is going to be something that exists. So all those plans were basically shot down. We tried to do it online workshop type thing, which the people that did show up seemed to really like it, but people weren't interested at that point.
Right.
The whole world, especially for events, completely changed on a single day almost.
Mm-hmm.
And from that point, I had to basically say goodbye to Making Midwest. I was like, well, that's kind of it. Until we got to 2024, and I was like, I can't leave it like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's just some unfinished business, I guess. And I was like, let's do this again, and let's just kind of see what happens. And focused a little bit more on kind of the motion design side of things. In previous events, we just kind of had it open to just like all creatives.
Mm-hmm.
And it went okay. But it still, for me, I'm like, I don't even want to end on that one. So we're running what is probably going to be the last one. It'll be late June, so June 27th at CCAD in Columbus. And just giving this one everything I got.
Awesome. Yeah, I've seen it from a lot of the founders that I've looked up to in Columbus. They're always building some kind of community. They're always on the hunt to find their people. And something about you and those people they're drawn to. They're asking questions, like you said. What are some of the questions that you get asked a lot when it comes to creative business, creativity? I think when people view you as a mentor, it's kind of a signal that they see something that they want realized within you, and they view you as someone who's trodden the path before them. What are some of the questions that creatives ask you the most when it comes to building a business?
There's a lot of questions about like the beginning of like, how do I even like get started? Is this portfolio good enough to even do this kind of thing? Like, how do you get work? Like, I think that's probably the main question. And it's always an interesting response, because I'm like, well, it kind of depends on like who you are. Mm-hmm. Like, I can tell you my story. I can tell you exactly how I did it. But ultimately, you're going to have to figure it out for yourself. And like, that's kind of the cool part about this. Yeah. Is it requires a leap of faith. And that's why, like, on my book, that's why it's at the bottom, it says the only book that you need to start and grow a creative services business. Mm-hmm. It's not a particularly long book, but I really do feel like you don't need to know much before you start. Mm-hmm. You need to start, though, so you can start learning some of this stuff for yourself. Like, it doesn't matter how much stuff people tell you. It's just... So I don't know, like I get that question a lot, I guess, of like, how do I get clients? And a lot of times people don't love the answer, because they're like, well, I wanted to like just like be a designer or like do this stuff. I'm like, that's fantastic. You should get a job somewhere then. Dude,
so much of, this might be a hot take, probably not, but so much of the best practices when it comes to running a business are directly contradictory to the best practices of being a creative that's thriving and is happy. Right. And more often than not, I'll recommend that people get a job or get really good at a very niche, specific creative pursuit. Because even things when it comes to like, the biggest learning experience for me was like time efficiency, because I was so used to when you're being paid hourly, when time is no object, to refine like the 1 or 2% smallest details when it comes to web design, creativity, anything that was in that niche that I was doing. And that is what makes truly exceptional work. But when you're running a business, you know, you have to balance that with client priorities and deadlines and, you know, under promising and over delivering, which is just, to be able to scratch both of those itches is very, very difficult, and enjoy it at the same time is like nearly impossible.
That's true.
So it is the ultimate learning experience to be able to teach the methods that are in your book and the methods that, and the answers to a lot of the questions you're getting, to find the people who can execute at the same standard and caliber that you kind of push the values of your company for, and that can live up to that standard. And then you do the job that shifts into getting them to work to where they can truly enjoy their creative pursuit, which is just such a learning experience that I'm honestly not that far removed from.
Yeah.
Did you ever face a chapter where you were maybe disheartened about getting out of the creative aspect and moving more into biz dev, sales, and company building?
Yeah, I think that's another one of the big questions that people ask. Like, hey, do I have to stop doing like all the stuff that I love? And I don't think that's the answer. Like, I don't think it's like, yeah, you have to stop necessarily. For me, there's a lot of people that their identity is completely tied into what they do. And I was there. I went to school for 3D animation. For me, I was a 3D animator. That's what I was. I was proud to say that. I'm still proud that I was able to say that. But then there came a day where I was like, do I want to push this even farther? Like, how far would I need to push this before I am happy? And for me, it became more important to be able to run a business. I was always into businesses, even like high school and stuff like snow shoveling and just doing whatever things that I could to just make some extra money. And I don't know, I don't know what the difference is between like somebody like myself that was okay with just like, hey, yeah, you're gonna have to take a back seat in some of this stuff, and some other people that just like are not willing. And like, I don't think that either one is wrong, right? Like you said, like sometimes the idea of running a business sounds way better than it actually is. There are worlds that exist where you start a business and you actually lose money.
It's very
so
real. Yeah.
I think a lot of people have this impression that if you start a business, you're going to be able to make all the decisions and you get to keep all the money. And that's just not true. I mean, there's been years where employees make more money than me.
Yeah.
And I mean, this didn't happen often, but still, whenever it does happen, you're like, uh-oh. And like, even like when we have a bad year, I'm like, man, I know I could have made like double, maybe even triple if I was just to like work full time somewhere as a senior creative somewhere. So part of it was like, it was never about money. I guess that's kind of the other thing. So like, if money is the reason why you're doing it, absolutely do not. It's not going to be there right away. I guess the big thing that I always tell people is like, if you go down this path, be prepared to put 10 years into it before it really pays off. And if you don't love that journey for 10 years, well, you're going to be miserable.
Yeah.
Do not do it if that's the case.
Yeah, dude, that's so good. So let me add flavor to the question. What is your biggest motivator? Because for some people, it's the creative pursuit to just like, because I remember when I was like back at the agency, the last day I woke up excited to like really get into a project, there's been like sporadic moments, few and far between. That in large part ended when I wasn't getting a consistent salary at a job to be able to really just like have the security to enjoy it. So for some people, it's the creative pursuit. It's they're excited to wake up every day and really push the limits, get better. And for some people, it's money, which is not for you. So what would you say is your biggest motivation for the business these days?
It's interesting because, I mean, money does play a part in it, right? Like, I'm not going to say like, oh, I don't care. Like, well, it's a resource and you kind of need it to be able to do things, right? And if you are giving away more money than you're getting, again, that becomes a problem. My wife would definitely not be for that idea. But I think that kind of goes to like what that biggest motivator is right now. there's a couple things. Like in my time in Los Angeles, I worked on Fortune 100 brands, right? And I'm like working on these huge projects, stuff that's playing during like halftime of playoff games for football, like really dream come true stuff, like TV shows, music videos. And I thought that was the motivator. I thought it was, I just want to work on like the big stuff that everyone gets to see. And then once you do that, you're like, okay, well,
Yeah.
that's cool. Like, I'm glad that I did it, but that's not it. So then there was a period of time where it's like, maybe I am supposed to focus on the money. And once you start making some money, you again realize, that's not it either.
Yeah.
The biggest motivator for me today is probably the team that's around me, that I want to see these people succeed. I want to see them do things that maybe I help them unlock in some way. Not that like, I don't take credit for these things, but like when I see these people do things that they're like, oh, wow, I didn't know I was capable of that. Whether that's through teaching or the team that I have at Made by Things. It's one of the coolest feelings to know that you just kind of like, you didn't really do that much, but you just kind of like help them believe in themselves a little bit. I would say that's a huge motivator. Oddly enough, like one of their goals is like, hey, we want to work on big stuff that gets seen by everybody. I'm like, okay, just so you know, like I've been down this path and it's not like the thing, but like, who cares? You know what I mean? Like, that's what you want to do. Cool. Let's try to do that. And every project that we take on, like truly for me, it doesn't matter the logo that we put at the end. It's really like, how can we make stuff that makes people feel something? And as cliche as it sounds, like that's kind of it. When you can make something and you see somebody watching it and it like legitimately brings a tear to their eye, like not that that's my goal, but when it happens, you're like, wow, like I was able to put myself into this and get paid for it and make a meaningful impact on somebody. Maybe not like for their entire life, but even just that moment. I don't know. Like that's, to me, there's like tons of motivators I just said in that, but like it's all kind of wrapped up in that same thing, whether it's an audience, whether it's my team, whether it's my family. I just want to make a positive impact on all of those things. And there are days where I make mistakes, right? So I want to make sure that's super clear. And there are days where sometimes that motivator changes, and that's also okay. Like I genuinely feel like people get trapped up in their dreams and goals to the point where it's not even like truly a dream of theirs anymore, but they keep pursuing it because it used to be at one point.
Yeah, dude, so much of that. And also on the other side of that too, like reminding yourself of what it is. Because there's times too where I get so into the nitty gritty of just forgetting why you even started or what your biggest motivator is at the time. There's times when I get so detached from that. It's just like I lose a lot of steam and motivation to begin with. I think one of those things too is you kind of have to touch the pan to learn it's hot for like all of the lessons that you said, like whether it is money or it is, just getting paid to do what you love, or it's the impact or it's the awards. I basically, when 2025, the last year we just finished, I started basically documenting my journey of trying to make six figures as my first full year in the business. And I think it was August or September, like I reached it. And I was recording videos of like doing like financial reviews every single month. And I clipped this moment. It's like the screensaver on my phone now because I reached it and just like added the numbers up in Excel. And I was like, okay, well that's $100,000. And I like paused and I like realized, okay, I'm sitting here. My family's at church. It was a Sunday. I was recording this and I have like nobody around me. And I'm like, this is like, I basically, if I had gone back to working at the agency and I was like, man, I just doubled my income doing this thing on my own, I would have been ecstatic. I would have thought I would have been ecstatic. And it was one of the most hollow feelings I've like ever had in my entire life. So like part of that is touching the pan to realize that it's hot. Like, I don't think I ever would have had as visceral reaction or would have dramatically changed the structure of the business I was building or the work I was taking on if I hadn't had that or changed my inputs to begin with. But it's also like the reminder of that those things aren't, what they were, or what you had initially thought them up to be. And then you learn the lesson as it comes across you, and then you change paths a little bit. You learn different motivations.
Right. It's interesting because we are in a creative field, and we have that realization of like, oh, you know what? I mean, I feel like generally most of us get into this with the understanding that we're probably not going to make the same as like doctors and scientists and things like that, right? And it's okay with us. And but so much of the world outside of just the creative industry, they have these same moments. Truthfully, like I feel there are many moments I feel bad for people that I know, and I'm like, oh, you're just chasing the money. And like, I understand why you're doing it. This is the family that I grew up in. Like, we didn't have a whole lot of money, so everyone's constantly chasing money. Yeah. And so to me, like, I guess that's the normal thing to do. And when I see a lot of other people, I'm like, that's 100% what they're doing. Now, not to like knock on people like that do like real estate investing. Like, yeah, it's great. It will make you money. But also at the same time, like, is that really like kind of stuff that makes you happy?
Yeah. I just kind of think like they're yet to learn that lesson here, that they're yet to have that moment.
I think that's what it is. Like, I think, and I hope that they do have that moment at some point. I mean, like, again, this is just me talking. Like, if you really enjoy that stuff, like, by all means, like, go for it. But to me, it would not be fun to get a call saying, hey, the air conditioner just broke. You need to fix it. That would be like the worst. I don't know. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I feel that, man. So let's, I want to get tactical a little bit. So talk to me about like motion design as a whole. Last time we talked was in late 2023, which is just fucking insane to think about. How much has the day-to-day work of you and the team, I mean, there's a lot of, obviously, technology has changed a lot that's going on in web. I would say as a general, summary, which is impossible to do in like any constrained amount of time of the industry as a whole now, like in general, output is a lot easier, but it's also become drastically harder to make anything of quality, or the standards for people that I've seen have lowered a lot. So how do you keep your eye on, just give me like a summary of like how your day-to-day has changed when it comes to the creative side of work, and some predictions maybe for what it'll have in the future?
Yeah. I mean, in the last few years, it's interesting because a lot has changed, but also nothing's changed at the same time. Where, I mean, I kind of talked about it. Like, we are very story-driven in the things that we make. Because ultimately, I feel like that's the thing that people care about. And businesses generally want to make things that people care about, right? I don't know if that's true or not anymore, but that's a belief that I built an entire company around at this point. Like, from a software perspective, yes, things sort of change, but to me, that's not what like kind of makes us unique. That's not what makes us special. We don't just focus on like Cinema 4D and that's it. Like, if we have like a 3D character project, we'll go through and be like, all right, what's the best software to use for this? All right, cool. Do we need to bring somebody on to help us do this? Or is this something that we can learn on our own and be able to just do it? And the team is small. So like, it's generally, let's just learn this thing and be able to apply it at some point. So like Colin, our lead animator, we started talking about a software called Moho. And I'm like, people are doing some cool stuff with this. Like, we need to make some stuff with this and see, is this something that we can apply to projects? Which would be kind of strange. Like, this would be the first like non-Adobe software that we ever use for 2D animation. Sorry, I'm getting into the weeds a little bit here. But the idea, though, is that like, we'll learn the things that we need to know before it ever becomes a possibility for us to put it into action on client work. Yeah. So, we already the team has hundreds of hours in the software already. And we've never actually used it on a client project just yet. Not yet. The same thing with like, Adobe has a character animator, very simple, kind of silly software where you can like act things out and like it'll make the character come to life. And we were messing around with that. I'm like, oh, this is actually kind of fun. Like, let's build out a character and let's see what happens. And probably by the time this goes live, we put a whole story around it of like, okay, we're going to hire an intern and she's just annoying. And she's a 2D animated character that is acted, right? There's no actual like animation that's happening. So it's just using a webcam to basically, one of the people on the team, I don't want to give away any spoilers here, but one of the people on the team, it's not me, just acts everything out, does the voice, and it moves the lips and everything. It's just, it's funny. It's really, it's a little cheesy, but anyway, so she's our intern. She's starting next week, and she's going to run all of our social media and newsletters for the summer. So that's what I'm saying. Like we try to put story to everything that we're doing, but if we want to like learn something new, we kind of wrap it in a project in some way. And
that's what they say. That was what I was always recommended to do is like get paid to learn, essentially. Well, that's what the role of working in-house is. I think with the way tech is heading now, there's a very high incentive for people to dramatize any new tech release or any latest feature or anything AI related tangentially, because there's just a ton of funding and money involved in it right now. I think when it comes to actual adoption in terms of the creative process and in terms for especially the people that are enterprise and they're shelling out thousands of dollars for good creative output, the adoption curve is much slower. Like there's no marketing director that's going to say like see one small like extra finger or something like that and then be like, oh yeah, like we could. It's so close. And no, they're just going to go back to the traditional way and work with people who are experts that trust that they trust.
Right.
So yeah, it's ever changing. I feel like. But,
right, and I guess that kind of brings AI into the fold here. I was wondering how long it's going to take us to.
Yeah, I tried to put it off. I tried.
No,
we
it's
got
fine.
like 30 minutes.
That's pretty good. And that's another thing where I'm like, okay, I'm not like against any new software at all. Like I got into 3D animation at a time when 2D traditional animators were mad that this new animation technique was coming to life. So I get it. And I'm not going to be like angry about it. At the same time, I'm like, okay, let's take the time. Let's try to figure this out. Let's figure out what everybody else is doing. I'm not just going to straight up start using it on client work. As of today, the only time we've used anything AI related in client work is basically for conceptual stuff, like early on pre-production type stuff that helps us get to a final result, but doesn't actually directly get us to that final result. But it's changing every single day, really. Every single time a new language model comes out, it's like, all right, now this thing's capable of something new here. But for us, again, I'm like, okay, well, I basically tasked my team with like, all right, everyone contribute to this sort of slides presentation that we have and we go through every so often. Like, let's put some experiments in there and then let's talk about them as a team. And are we okay with this? Does this actually solve some sort of problem for us? Does this make us better? I think that one's probably the most important. If it doesn't make us better, then I'm not really interested. And maybe that means the market doesn't appreciate the value that we offer. But oh well, like I'm not going to make something worse just because. I don't know. It's weird. Anyway, so we go through, we do all these experiments and we talk. And there's definitely some things where we're like, hey, that's pretty interesting. And it's like, well, maybe not that directly, but maybe if we did our own photography and then we can like put it in there like that. And it's like, all right, we're kind of figuring out how to control it. And I think that's kind of the big thing right now is right now it's just too random in pretty much all forms. Yeah. And I don't think it's going to get any better. And I know with the risks of saying something like that for something that just came out. But it's kind of this idea where it's too random. How are you going to be able to make the client changes that are always being asked for? Yeah. Can we have a character with 5 fingers instead of 6? Great. When you say make it have 5 fingers instead of 6, all of a sudden it changes the entire pose.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you're like, oh no.
Yeah.
And sure, there's ways around that, but then you start to realize, okay, maybe that's not saving us any time. Like if we just did it the right way first, we would have enjoyed it first of all, and we would have got to the same result the same amount of time. So it's like one of these things. Using AI is very much like curating, where using the software is like creating, and people are getting those confused right now. People that say that they're creators are actually curators. And again, there's nothing necessarily wrong with that either, but it's not the same, right?
Yeah, that's a really eloquent take. I think part of it is a principles discussion, and part of it is like an execution discussion.
Right.
There's people, say someone orders like a shelf. There are people who are premium and they will make a handmade custom shelf. I probably could have chosen a much better example than a shelf because it sounds kind of monotone, but there's people who will stain the wood. They will cut the tree down, stain the wood, and make it match exact specs. And all people are willing to invest in that process. And there's other people who will go to IKEA and build it themselves. And these are two different markets. I think the tech nowadays has built a lot more IKEAs and made them a lot more accessible. Whereas the people who can invest in truly one-of-one creative work were never going to be the IKEA customers to begin with. I think people lose that when they're trying to increase their own efficiencies, and they don't think about what the client originally came to them to begin with. They're just thinking like, oh, how can I make this as profitable as a project as possible? That's when you're starting to get into really dangerous territory. Right. And the tools make it very appealing to do that sometimes.
For sure. I was reading something somewhere that's like, AI can help anyone become average, but it doesn't really help experts necessarily, like big time get better. You know what I mean? Like it's helping those people get to average very quickly. But is average going to be enough when everybody does it? Like the new average is, if this is a bell curve, right? Then all of a sudden what is average now all of a sudden gets shoved over to just not that good. Yeah. But the thing that I'll say is like IKEA and people that focus pretty heavily on AI, there is a place in the market for it. And I don't love it, but that's just kind of how it is. Whenever Fiverr came out and all these people can do things for $5, right? It's the same thing where it's taking a bottom part of a market and it's saying, okay, this is now not accessible. And it keeps taking from the bottom of it and it's working its way up. As if this is a skill chart here. I don't know. Yeah. Very visual. I see it. I'm hoping everybody else does too.
Yeah. No, we could have like a animation on the screen that like illustrates that. You gave me to do some rapid fire. We did this last time. Cool. What is one business decision you would undo if you could?
I would say early on for me, I decided that I wanted to offer literally everything that I could do. So yes, I specialized in 3D animation early on, but I was like, I also like photography and branding and web development. And I was like, just offering all of it. And I thought that was the smartest thing I could have ever done. And it just wasn't. For like a year or two, I was just doing a bunch of web projects. And I was like, wait, I want to do like more. Why aren't I getting more of the video projects? Yeah. And then I realized, I'm like, stop offering the things you don't really want to do. It seems common sense, but
that's a good lesson to learn. I wish I had learned it sooner. Best book that is not yours.
Let's see. I mean, I said Shoe Dog. I also really like Creativity Inc. Okay. Win Without Pitching Manifesto is a good one.
Yeah, Blair Ends.
Yeah. There's the other one by David C. Baker that's really good. It's like The Business of Expertise or something. I might be butchering that, but
dude, I have trouble reading physical books these days. Yeah. Attention span. So it's just it's a good challenge, but usually I'm an Audible person now.
Yeah. It's faster that way. I just can't pay attention that long. I don't know.
I know, dude. I can't. I don't know. Well, we'll get better. What is your favorite Notion feature that most other power users miss?
Oh, so oddly enough, I stopped using Notion.
No.
Since we last talked. I still I still use it for like personal stuff, but like for the business, we shifted away.
It doesn't scale well. I've learned that too.
It's just tough. It can. Like, I'm totally there, and it can. But we just had a couple big projects that I was like, I can't do this exactly how I need to.
Yeah.
We ended up kind of building our own software a little bit.
Nice.
I'm not even close to ready to sharing that with the world, but it's something that we've been working on for almost a year now. Just trying to make something work how we want to. But I don't know. I strongly recommend Notion.
Nice. Yeah. I use it. I think it's more of a personal life thing, like for notes and for like idea capture. I still use it. It didn't scale well for the business because it's per seat per month pricing. Right. And when the moment you start to use their AI features, it starts to really get expensive. Yeah. What would your 12-year-old version? What would 12-year-old Matt's verdict be on 2026, Matt? I asked you this question in 2023. What would the 12-year-old version say of you now that you had a little more experience on your belt?
I think that I like to hope that he'd be proud. I have a 12-year-old at home right now. Oh, nice. So it's interesting that you say that now.
Oh, interesting.
I think the bar was pretty low for him. He'd be happy with almost anything. Yeah. The fact that I'm not working in like a factory right now with like pieces of metal stuck in my beard when I come home, I think he'd be pretty thrilled. Yeah. To know that like I have the family that I have around me right now, just cool kids, cool wife. I don't think that he would complain literally about anything.
Nice. Well, that's awesome. I view that as success, man. I'm yet to cross that chapter. Honestly, tough to put myself there mentally. So I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. With the whole kids and family thing.
Even I'm 38 now, even close to 40.
You look like 19 years old.
It's because of the hat. Even at this age, it's interesting, like answering that question because I'm like, oh, I'm still working on it. I don't know. So like that's my immediate response is like, I'll let you know in like 20 or 30 years when I feel like I'm done. But as of right now, it's like, well, I don't know. Like the 12-year-old version of myself, I'm like, yeah, he'd be happy. But the 38-year-old version of myself, I'm like, you got a ways to go, man. Like you have so much work to do. Like, what are you doing right now? Recording a podcast.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the goalposts always move.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And I've learned that too. I was like, man, I literally remember I've made a podcast about this in and of itself. I was like, if I could make $3,000 a month, I would be so happy. Right. And that has come and went. And the goalposts always move. Last thing I want to talk to you about is I think you covered this a lot in the book, but your approach and general mindset on sales and how that's changed. This is what I've learned is that this is our job, some type of sales, business development, getting better and better at this stuff and finding a way where you can make it rewarding, make it satisfying, and make it something you can come back to and enjoy. We'll play on the screen some clips from your presentation at the Curating conference, the last one I went to, where it got by far not to like, I don't know who those speakers were that year, but like got by far the best response of all the conferences that day. Man,
I thought I did the worst.
From the audience, it was pretty obvious. And this goes back to the idea of storytelling, which I think plays a really big role in sales. Yeah. Not just like managing client expectations or solving problems, but putting together a story that the client can then see the success state in themselves, and you're the one who has the responsibility to making that clear for them. But talking about like your general approach and mindset on sales and how that's changed.
It's interesting because like, again, you read all the books and it'll tell you like, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do this. And so much of it just felt unnatural to me. Like, I'm not going to pick up the phone and start cold calling people. Like, do I have that level of ambition? Yes. Would I do it if I really felt like that was the only way? Yes. Do I want to do it? Absolutely not. Like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to cold email people. It took me a while to try to figure out, like, okay, what is the way that I want to do this? Like, do I have to show up to meetings and wear the suit and tie? Do I have to, like, play the part? And I don't know. At a certain point, I was like, if I can't do this job, which is my primary job at this point. If I can't do that and enjoy it, then I don't want to do it. So, like, again, I would rather work for someone else than do this for myself, but do it in a way that makes me unhappy.
Right.
So, I don't know. I mean, it started, it's probably about 6 years ago or so, where I was like, I got to just be myself at this. Now, I guess I have certain personality traits that probably help. I generally feel like I'm a likable guy. I don't say stupid things out loud, usually.
I tried to get some out of you today. It just didn't work.
There's still time. But it just became like, you know what? I'm going to be myself and hope that I can meet other people that can appreciate that. When I show up to meetings, I wear a backwards hat. All of them. You know, I've had clients sign 7-figure contracts right in front of me while wearing a backwards hat.
That's badass, dude. That's
now,
perfect.
I mean, it's... I didn't think about that in the moment, but like looking back on it, it's like, man, like people really respect if you're just gonna be yourself. Now, there are a lot of people that don't want you to be yourself. And whatever, like I get it. But it's just the honesty that I'm going to have with this stuff and the level of expertise I have in the craft of what we make. That's another area that separates us from others. Like they send out salespeople. Well, I am the salesperson. I can tell you exactly how we're going to make the sausage, right? And I can think on the fly and say, ooh, your case is unique. We should do the process like this. So I have an advantage when I have these conversations with people, and I'm like, well, I got to use that advantage to the best of my ability. So the biggest thing for me is LinkedIn played a huge role early on. I'm not entirely sure it plays as big of a role, but it was, okay, well, I'm going to be myself, and I need to show who I am to the world, right? So that these people can start a relationship with me without me being there. And if they like what they see there, then they're going to like working with us. So I don't, that just became like a really important part of it where I'm like, all right, I'm going to keep posting. I mean, it's still, I don't post every day, but it's pretty close. And just trying to be myself. Like, all right, if I think something's funny, cool, let's do it, you know? But the thing that I love the most is just getting in person with people, having lunch, just talking. Like if it's a prospective client, I'm not going to bring up like, hey, we can like work for you. These are the ways. Like if you want like a capabilities presentation, cool, let me know, we'll do it. But if we're just getting coffee or getting lunch, we're going to talk about whatever for the whole time. I don't really care. Like if we don't talk about work at all, like I'm fine with it. But in general, my approach is if we have an hour meeting, 55 minutes, and we're going to talk about whatever, give me 5 minutes maybe at the end. And maybe I'll just be like, hey, based on what you said here, maybe we could help. If not, cool. Like, this is great, but whatever. Or maybe I even send them an email afterwards and just like, hey, here are some of the stuff we talked about. Here are the projects that I talked about. And like, maybe you'll be interested, whatever. But sales is a process that takes, in general, I put 12 to 24 months on it with the kind of projects we do. Nobody meets me and then decides that we're going to work together in a day. It's just not going to happen. So like, why try to play that game? I would rather just let's meet. If we get along, if we think that we would work well together, then cool, let's talk about it. But again, most times people don't even have like a project in mind whenever I have conversations with them. It's fun to like look back on like project requests that we get in now, and I start to trace it back. Of like, okay, they got 3 newsletter emails from us. I talked to them on LinkedIn. They left a comment on LinkedIn on one thing. I reached out to them for this. Before that, maybe we had lunch. And it's like, oh man, this really did. It took 14 months. But this is not the reason why, but it's like, this is a cool like symptom of just being a good person, I feel like.
Dude, that's the ultimate lesson, man. Like B2B sales that's why it's equally, it's the duality is that it's so hard to get started because it's such a long sales cycle. It takes time. you have to associate who you are with the outcomes that you produce.
Right.
And so much of it too is just like not having expectations of it at any time.
Right.
You know, obviously you do your best to curate an environment that puts you in the best position possible, but so much of it is outside of your control when it comes to like turning a switch and getting more projects, you know?
Right.
That's been the ultimate learning experience for me, is to find, Alex Hormozy calls it like things to do in the meantime. Like you have the like you're stoking the fire of, you know, building a network, having long form content. And you know, in the meantime, it's like making friends at scale. And that's ultimately what sales is. And that's what a lot of what you taught me. Even in our first chat is like, it's a long game. And especially building in Columbus, you have an opportunity to stay top of mind in like a small, big town. That's how I would describe it. It's how a lot of other people have described it. And, yeah, it's you've taught me a lot, not just on that front, but just also on the creative business owner mindset as a whole. One thing I will tell you, is I meant to bring this up earlier, is you told me in our first conversation, and this is actually, I realized how big of an impact this actually had afterwards. I grew up with 2 hearing aids. I was like a very socially awkward person, you know, typical creative, just want to have heads down and do work. You mentioned like every hour getting up when you write your first creative job, getting up every hour and talking to someone new. I started doing that the day after. And I remember it so much because I hated it. Like I was like, I do not want the clock to say 00 at the end, because that's when I would get up and like talk to somebody. So it's like a 65 person open floor point office. I'm like, I'm going to do this. And I did that every single day.
Really?
And I'm a lot more verbally articulate now.
Yeah.
I'm still awkward, but probably in the best way possible. You know, and 3 years later, like I'm a much better version of myself than I was, and it's paid dividends for me. So you were one of the big instigators that did that. Seeing a lot of your early content with other people that I've had on the show too, people that are building in Columbus, has been a big influence for me. So I want to say thank you on that front, and thank you for coming on again today. But if people want to take the next step, read the book, reach out to Made by Things, where should they go?
Yeah, so you can go to madebythings.com to see some of the work that we do. You can see the book it's on Amazon. It's called The Business of Making Things. You see what I did there? Made by Things, Business of Making Things. Yep.
I got you.
You can see, if you want to see Creative Little Monsters, you can go to creativelittlemonsters.com and see that book. We'll also be at the libraries doing their book festival. I'll have a little table there in July. So come swing by if you're in the area. Hey, wait, no, you're not going to end this like that. First of all, yes, okay, so maybe you picked up on a couple things, but I need to tell you, and I kind of started talking about this earlier, but you are one of the few people that take the advice, that take the things that they learn and apply it immediately, no matter how like uncomfortable it might make them. And that's the thing. I mean, kind of what we're talking about, where if you want to do this stuff, you have to be willing to be uncomfortable. And I love seeing the stuff that you're posting all the time. Not that you're uncomfortable, but like that you're willing. Nobody's comfortable with the idea of like putting themselves out there, doing podcasts, 100 something of them, right? And just trying to kind of find your way through an industry while also making it public. Like that's not something that people do. And I don't know. There's only rewards to doing things like that, and I hope at this point you've already started to see those things. So I don't know, little things that I said, sure, whatever, but it was you that takes that and starts to apply it. And it's not just me. I know that you start taking things that you learn from a lot of people. You start applying all these things, and it starts to become this snowball. And that's what it feels like you're doing. So it's really cool to see the updates from you. And I don't know, in 3 more years when we talk, I don't know. I'm sure you're going to have some big things to say.
Thanks, man. I might be able to grow facial hair by then. We'll see.
It took me a while. So.
I know, dude. It's a work in progress. But I appreciate that, man. I appreciate you coming on. And until round 3. All right.
Yep. Thanks, man.
Cheers, man.